Hello Newpick, I'm Matt Taylor, Numenta's community flag bearer, and I want to introduce you to our Director of Marketing, Christy Maver, and she's going to talk to you a bit about HTM Challenge ideas. So take it away, Christy.
Thank you, Matt, and hello Newpick. As Matt said, I am Christy Maver, Director of Marketing here at Numenta, and I'm excited to talk to you about some challenge ideas or applications for the HTM Challenge, because I know that many of you may be thinking about entering the challenge, and maybe you haven't entered a submission yet, and maybe the reason why is because you don't have a particular application to submit. So I want to give you some ideas, and you can take any of these, build an application or an entry based upon it, or maybe you'll hear something that will spark an idea for a completely new application. So before I get into the particular applications, I want to start at the beginning and talk about HTM. This is, after all, the HTM Challenge, so I want to do just a quick level set on what HTM is. HTM stands for Hierarchical Temporal Memory, and that's really a model or a framework for understanding the neocortex, which is the seat of human intelligence. And programming HTMs is very different than the way we program traditional computers today. So in a traditional computer, you would create a specific program to solve a specific task, but there's no learning involved. There's no intelligence there in the completion of the task or even in the repeating of the task. Now, HTM, on the other hand, HTMs learn from sequences of data. They're trained on sequences of data, these time series temporal data sets. So the key for you when thinking about this challenge is there has to be an element of time. There has to be some sort of temporal data. So let's talk about some sample applications that you can use for the challenge. One of the areas that we talk a lot about here at Numenta is the area of geospatial tracking. And you could take this in any different direction. You could look at it by air, by sea, by land. If you're looking by air, you could take commercial aircraft, for example, and analyze the speed, the location, the trajectory of those airliners and detect abnormal patterns, for example, all to improve airline safety. If you're thinking by sea, you could do some sort of maritime domain awareness application, meaning you could detect abnormal shipping routes or an unexpected port of entry or potential travel impediments, and that could come from the weather or a potential ship malfunction or even piracy activity. Or you could look at cars. You could go by land. So I don't know if any of you have a teenage driver in the house. Even if you don't, you probably remember being one yourself. And what if you could track teen driving patterns and speeds and even receive alerts when there's deviation from the normal route home from school or the normal speed? And what if you could take that even further and combine that data with other sets of data coming from touch strokes on the phone, for example? So you might be able to detect when there's texting and driving occurring. So lots of different examples in the area of geospatial tracking that you can use. Let's move to a completely different field. Let's talk about some applications in medical or clinical areas. So what about using HTM to detect illness? Now this could be on a grand scale, looking at EKG or ECG data to be able to detect heart abnormalities or even predict heart attacks sooner than we would normally expect it. But what about even on a smaller scale? So I know when I get sick, for example, the first telltale sign is that tickle in the back of my throat. But what if through tracking of wearable fitness devices or monitoring devices, we could detect abnormalities that would indicate an illness coming on even before I can even recognize it? And let's talk about a different area too, educational technology. So think about the number of online courses or standardized test preparation that's offered online, whether it's tutoring or anything that you do online in the area of education. What if you could analyze the keystrokes that are taken in that course to help you identify false positives? So actually help you see when someone got the right answer, but only because they guessed, or even worse, they cheated. And that means they didn't really understand the concept. They didn't really learn it. Alternatively, you could also measure false negatives. So when someone got the wrong answer for some reason, but they actually did understand the concept. And when you think about the implications of this, it could even change how we test, right? And measure a new way of learning and measure a new way of understanding those conceptual kind of aha moments. So that's an area that you can look into as well. Those are a few examples, but there are plenty more, whether it's in the area of telco, analyzing call detail records to be able to help improve sound quality so you can detect when there's dropped audio or dropped calls. Wouldn't telco companies love to have their hands on this data to ultimately reduce customer churn? There's also a lot you can do in detecting weather abnormalities, whether you're looking at one particular data feed or combining multiple data feeds to be able to detect earthquakes, droughts, temperature changes, floods, anything like that. Or there's a lot you can do with natural language processing as well. You could analyze Twitter stream, for example, to detect semantic meaning during a large event, whether it's a Super Bowl or a political debate or the Oscars. These are just some ideas of applications to get you started. Hopefully you're thinking of some as well. So once you have your idea, you're ready to submit. Submissions are open now, and you have until November 6th to get your demo video in. Now, even if you don't yet have everything worked out, if you have an idea, go ahead and submit. The NUPIC community, and Matt in particular, is here to help and can work with you behind the scenes to get you ready and get the best demo video possible. So what application are you going to come up with for the HTM challenge? I know I can't wait to see. And hopefully I'll see some of you in Redwood City on November 14th for our on-site challenge event. Good luck.